So this whole notion of, can cancer be beautiful? We had already planned a trip with friends to go horseback riding with our children. I was diagnosed in June, and this was a little summer weekend we had planned, and it was a horseback riding weekend. So literally, my children had gone up with our friends, and literally the day I went to see my surgeon to kind of double-check lumpectomy, everything's good, we left the office and hit the highway. And so I was still kind of in that surreal mode, like, wow, I'm going horseback riding and I have cancer. This is so weird. But nonetheless, it was like, we're moving on. Nothing is interfering, right? And so we're on these horses riding through these paths, and I looked down, and there were these incredibly beautiful mushrooms. Some were white, some were orange. They looked porcelain. And I just caught them and just kept staring at them. And I remember even one of the dads, I had commented, and one of the dads that were with us was like, yeah, they're really cool. And it's sort of like a penny dropped for me. I thought, you know, here's this thing that I've been taught that's a fungus. It's in your grass, you get rid of it, it's ugly, it gives people diseases. But yet, in this situation, they're beautiful. I've been taught that cancer kills people, it's scary, you're bald. Who was talking about the whole emaciated look, right? I was like, oh, fettuccine Alfredo, bring it on. I'm going to be all throwing up all the time anyway, right? Not really. Still here. But this whole notion of living in this constant prison, I thought, no, you know, okay, yeah, I get it. It's scary, some people die, but I'm not going to live in that prison. I refuse to just accept that because you told me so. Is there ways of finding beauty in this horrific experience? And that was my mission. And that was another little shift in my mindset. It was funny because my daughter Emma was 5 at the time. And it's funny how children teach you some of the best lessons of your life. We were getting ready to go out, and she was in my bathroom like 5-year-old girls do. They're little divas in the making. She was 5 going on 30, rummaging through my drawer, you know, she's a little princess. And so she's playing with this makeup. And I said, Emma, you don't need to put that on. You're beautiful just the way you are. And so I'm, you know, starting to draw in my eyebrows. And she said, Mom, but I want to be pretty. And I said, Em, you're pretty. You don't need that stuff. And she said, Mom, I want to be pretty like you. And at that moment, it was like, wait a minute. I don't even have my wig on. I don't have anything on right now. And you're telling me you think I'm beautiful. How do I, at 38 years old, not see that? And this 5-year-old is telling me. So again, she helped shift that for me. And I often refer to my daughter because as a young girl and a mom, it's that connection, right? What does this mean for us going forward? Chemotherapy is a word that scares and puzzles people. Unless you've experienced it or cared for someone who has experienced it, you don't really know how it works or how it is administered. All you know is it makes people bald and look ill. I think the anticipation of it is almost worse than actually having it. It is the morning of my first chemotherapy appointment at 7 a.m., and I've been up since 5. The funny thing is, I feel like I've been through so much and have learned and grown so much in a short amount of time. The truth is, I haven't even started yet. There's so much of this process left. That's the freaky part. I think, oh God, I haven't even begun yet. How am I going to do this? The ultimate answer is that I have no choice. It is what it is. The ride is inevitable, but the vehicle is still my choice. To quote The Matrix, a brilliant film, there is no spoon. The idea is you can't bend a spoon because this is impossible. But if you truly allow yourself to believe the spoon is not real, you'll be able to bend it. In other words, your perception of reality impacts how you move through it. As I've said many times, there are no rules when it comes to the creative process and opening the mind to new things. As long as it drives you to do great things, then believe what you need to. Cancer treatment is so individualistic, and I figure there are no rules there either. I've been given all the facts and possible side effects, and at first I was overwhelmed. I broke down with self-doubt. You constantly hear stories of people enduring things much worse than this. The doctors speak in generalities. I've concluded that I'll sit, listen, and digest the information. And I will learn from it because that is essential. And then in the end, I'll do it my own way. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, but I do know there is no spoon. The interesting thing when I was here at that conference, the first conference, I remember listening to one of the doctors who was presenting. And, you know, they rattle stats and medical jargon. But the one thing that stuck out in my head was this notion that a lot of the statistics young women are being compared to are gathered by women that are much older than us. So what that said to me was, all these statistics that are scaring me and haunt me aren't even relevant to me. And he went on to say the fact that this group, these young women dealing with breast cancer, we don't have a lot of research. We are the pioneers. A lot of the information that is needed is coming from us experiencing it right now. That, I think, works very hand in hand with this idea of there are no rules with cancer. We know that, because why do some people pass away that should be here? And people who should have been gone 20 years ago are still out dancing, right? So I truly believe, yes, there's a part of us that needs to be physically doing what we need to do, but I think there's another part of that equation that isn't here. Our life experience happens here. I remember when I was in treatment, one of my acquaintances, which I came to realize was a toxic person in my life that I no longer hang around with, but which you kind of find out when you're in treatment, right? Who brings you good energy and who is sort of an anchor in the whole deal. She was going through a divorce, and I remember sitting at a Christmas party, and I remember crying, getting ready, and thinking, oh God, I don't want to go, get my wig on, and this and that. So we're there, and this woman is hysterical, crying. She'd had too much to drink, mourning the death of her marriage, and really, truly wanted to change places with me. And I thought, wow, divorce? Maybe dying. But what that told me was life-threatening is a matter of perception. That woman's life was in turmoil. She was devastated, grieving the death of this marriage. I don't think I was that sad. I kind of sat back and thought, wow. At the time, two of my old business partners were suing each other. That's life-threatening. That's life-changing. Your new normal is different. And all this sadness and dysfunction I saw going around me, I thought, you know what? I wouldn't trade places with you. I don't want 100 years of that life. So I think the important thing to really realize, we create our own misery. We create our own happiness. The way we choose to experience the world is the way our story goes. And I think that's a very undervalued thing. In my whole journey, being a person that's used to being in front of people, leading classes, things like that, you know, I think you're kind of programmed to always be on. And I think as women, we do that anyway, right? We're always on, always ready to take on a project, always ready to help someone out. We've heard that all weekend, right? That's a common thread. That's not a breast cancer thing, that's a female thing. That's a thing we teach each other. We teach our children, we teach our friends, we breed that type of behavior amongst ourselves. We were kind of talking about that at breakfast this morning. And in treatment, I was no different, right? Let's make this yoga DVD and do this and be the poster child. And I did that. I'd run up the stairs to chemo, right? Yeah, look at me. Big deal. But when I realized I couldn't outrun it was, my mom was very young when she had me. She was 20 when she had me. So her 60th birthday was happening at that year, the January of, and that was sort of like that midpoint where you're just, and my mother-in-law from England was visiting, and we just happened to be talking. My husband's like, yeah, I took my mom out and got your mom a gift and a card for her birthday. And it was like someone had smacked me in the face because I had completely forgot. And I never forget that kind of stuff. I always joke, I'm like the Martha Stewart of my family, right? I make sure everyone's taken care of. And I had completely forgotten my mom's 60th birthday. How do you do that? And I remember I just burst out crying, and it was like the valve had been opened, the avalanche had started, to where I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and I started crying again, you know? And what I was really grieving was not so much just forgetting my mom's birthday, but just that loss of control. Cancer had infiltrated my life once again for this important moment for me. And you know, I say be the remedy. And what I mean by that is, as much as people love us and are supporting us, there's a point where we ourselves have to be part of the solution. And in the book, I talk about being alone in this playground. And I use the analogy of this playground because we all kind of live in our own little playground. People come in. I remember when I sort of had this idea and wrote about it, it was kind of inspired by the way that day went. You know, my friends were over, I had a fabulous support system. I was so lucky. And so, you know, eventually people go home. And then eventually my husband, God bless him, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, he fell asleep on the couch. And there I was by myself. And it's that feeling of like the walls are kind of closing in and thinking, wow, this is really my life. I'm not going to wake up from this. So as people leave the playground, it's beautiful, everything's wonderful, sun's shining, and as everyone's gone, the gate closes and it goes dark and sad and dreary. And I can never leave. Cancer is a part of me now. It's part of who I am. And that's a very monumental moment, I think, when you're alone with your own crisis and you just have to look at it. You can't run from it. You have to accept it and go, okay, here it is. Now what? And I think we all experience that at different times, the reality of when this is it. And so when I talk about being the remedy, I think that's part of it, part of accepting this is who I am, this is part of me, and then where do I go from here? And those are just pictures of us when I had a break in between chemotherapy and radiation, so we took the kids skiing for a couple of days. And I felt well enough that I could, I didn't go on any black diamonds or anything like that, but it was just nice because with a ski hat, no one knew I didn't have hair, and just to feel my body working for me again was wonderful. And it was just a wonderful bonding time with my family. And not that we all need to go out and do sports or anything, but we've got to be part of our solution. And I think it is really happening. Listening to all the women talking over this weekend, how much passion is in this room, how much knowledge is in this room. Pink construction hat, where are you? We were talking about that. How much we already know, and one of the reasons why there's so much happening in breast cancer research and treatment and resources is because we are doers. We get stuff done. And women build communities. We raise families. I don't need to tell you how many when Biff was talking about her husband, right? Men are wonderful. I love men. But we have a skill set that they don't possess. That's why we are able to go get treatment, come home, throw up if we need to, and then go do something else. That's just what we do. And I think that is what's happening this weekend, this wonderful energy that females possess. And when you put us in the right context, where all the cattiness is gone, our insecurities are gone, and our hearts open, wonderful things start to happen. And I believe we can all be part of our own remedy. And when we are part of that, then we are a catalyst. We are a catalyst for change. We are a catalyst for progress.